Hey y'all, it's Diana from the Dianaverse, and I am here today to do the full moon and Sagittarius forecast for June 3rd, 2023. And I hope that this forecast finds you all happy and excited about life. Sagittarius is our sign of optimism. It's the archer pulling back his bow. He hasn't done anything quite yet, but he's poised and ready, right? He's got his bow drawn, he's pointing at his target, and he is focused. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, sign of expansion, optimism, learning, and all those things are embodied in Sagittarius. The opposite side of that is our sun, which is in Gemini. The full moon is always the moon on the opposite side, reflecting back the sun. And Gemini is about ideas and thinking and learning and just getting all kinds of information. So I don't know about you, but I have been feeling a real rush of energy this past week to do everything, learn everything. Everything I've tried to do, I've gone and Googled and looked up like the best way to do that. So there can be a lot of enthusiasm for what you're doing. You can also feel like you gotta get everything done. Like Sagittarius is the sign of shoulds, right? You should be like this, you should be like that, you should think this, that. So there can be a little bit of mental overwhelm if your Gemini is getting a little carried away, and your Sagittarius is saying, "Oh, you should have done all these things." So be aware of that. You might want to take a breath, slow down, focus on the most important things, and yeah, focus. Focus is a good one for this lunation. But in general, a lot of optimism as well. A lot of people are doing things, moving, starting projects. So if that's you, this is a great time to do it. With this full moon, we have a grand trine, which is where there are planets that are connected and supporting each other. So we've got Venus in very last degrees of Cancer. She will be moving into Leo on the 5th. So there's this transitional period there where we're going from planning things to expressing ourselves and doing them. That's connected also to Pisces in the very last degrees, Neptune in Pisces in the very last degrees. So it's wrapping up a lot of systems of thought and feeling that go together, like the collective. It's where there are a lot of ideas, and then the collective may be moving together, and you might want to sort of think for yourself to some degree. That Venus going into Leo kind of emphasizes that, where you kind of lose the illusion of whatever the group zeitgeist is. You know, you kind of are deciding on things for yourself, getting more information during this Gemini season. So a lot of people could have breakthroughs with projects and communications as they gather enough information to not just kind of go along with the flow, but to start to speak up for themselves. And then anchoring that is our moon in Sagittarius. So the moon is also the people. So there is a sense of belief systems where people are kind of invested in belonging to particular schools of thought, right? So you might want to try to find your tribe. This would be a good time for that. And the sun in Gemini still helps you be flexible, right? Like, we're always changing. We're never like one thing. I watched, and I can't remember his name now, an inspirational teacher talking about how we change over time. We think of ourselves as I am this or that, or I have these beliefs, but we're always adjusting and changing in little ways. Sometimes those are more visible over time, but leave yourself that room to be flexible and to change your mind about stuff. Excuse me. The moon is also kind of opposing Uranus, right? So Uranus is in Taurus still. It's been there for a long time. But this can be about our physical world, like moving things, or maybe possessions, things that get broken, things that get taken away, things that we haven't wanted to let go of, that we feel we're basing a lot of our existence on, but there's going to be a shakeup with that. When going back to Venus, when she moves forward on the 5th and goes into Leo, she will be going retrograde soon, but she's also going to be, excuse me, it's allergy time, I'm a little funny, sorry. So she's going to be opposing Pluto. Pluto, which is just barely retrograding back into Capricorn. And Capricorn is about the things we make real. It's what we build our structures on. And then you've got the Venus, who wants to express herself in new ways. She's in Leo, where she's feeling creative. And so there's an adjustment in our values, maybe in our surroundings, maybe in, I mean, it could be simple things too, right? Like how you do your hair, or some new clothes, but can also be allergy season. Can also be finances. Like, are we going to keep doing the thing that we've been doing? Has that been working for us? Are we trying something new? People have been trying a lot of new things, right? Since that big conjunction with Pluto and, who was it? Pluto, Jupiter, and Mars? Back in 2020, when the start of the pandemic, people have been shaking things up. And there's still some there is still some of that work to do. Obviously, I've been working on my phlegm for the last several years, and it's still got a ways to go. I'm going to try an Ayurvedic tea that I've done later after this podcast. So, moving on. Everything we're doing with Pluto, all the aspects that are going to be coming up in the next couple of years, these are all really new things where we go deep with how we value things and what we want to change, what we structure our lives on. Because Pluto is changing signs. It's moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. You've probably already heard about this. And it's going back and forth a little bit at the tail end of Capricorn and the very beginning of Aquarius. But it moves so slowly. These are like big, once-in-a-lifetime kind of changeovers. So whatever you're changing probably won't really go back. You may waffle a little bit while it ingresses back into Capricorn a couple times over the next 2 years. But in the end, you're going to end up moving forward, because Pluto in your chart is not going to go all the way around the wheel. It's only going to go through a few signs in your chart, because that's how slowly it moves. So these are big changes when Pluto is making these new aspects that we haven't had before in our lifetimes. So we still have that stellium in Taurus with Uranus, Mercury, Jupiter, and the North Node. So there's a lot about what we're building new, right? Having big dreams, big thoughts, big expressions, big announcements. And this is all to go forward, to build new things, because Taurus is about our physical world, our structures, our finances. And I think you can see around us that all those things have been changing, and that we're building new ways with that. So I meant to put on my last video, it's a new moon, that if you wanted to work with crystals with that grand cross that we just had, because that energy will be around for a while. It's not like it happened over a couple of weeks and it's done. You could do, if you do a little altar, which I do, you can get crystals for each of those 4 signs. It was the fixed signs. So that was Aquarius. You can do aquamarine. Leo, you can do peridot. Taurus, you can do pearl. And Scorpio, you can do, there's a variety of things. Labradorite comes to mind. You can also look these signs up and pick out stones that you have or that you like resonate for you, but make them in a nice square on your little altar. Maybe put a nice little cloth underneath them, and it kind of shows those planets some respect, and hopefully they will work with you and not, you know, kind of slam you into a wall with that grand cross. But with this lunation, we have this nice trine. So don't be complacent. Sometimes with the trine, things are going smoothly and we kind of take it for granted. You want to kind of be proactive to move this energy, this moving forward energy. Take a little downtime occasionally to rest. I know I haven't done that this week, and I'm feeling a little frazzled at the end of the week. Gemini can be that way, like all these things that I've been thinking about, I got to do, and I haven't done. So do take a little downtime. Try to look at other people's point of view, whatever it is that they're trying to do. We're all one human race. We got to work together. So it's not always easy, but if you can look at something from someone else's point of view, that can help sometimes. And the plants that I'm going to recommend for this lunation, for this full moon, would be goldenrod, which I'm using, that fiery yellow flower that helps with allergies this time of year. I know June is the worst for me. The grass just knocks me out. If you are struggling with allergies, try the goldenrod. Also, goldenrod is kind of a precursor for summer, so even if you're not battling allergies, you can play with the taste of goldenrod as a precursor to summer to kind of get in the mood. It's almost going to be the summer solstice in a couple weeks, and goldenrod is a great plant for that. Also using, because goldenrod is a little scratchy on the throat, I'm using some grindelia honey. And grindelia is another sunny yellow flowered herb that is great for summer, is great for boggy, wet things going on in the head and the lungs. So I like it dissolved in honey, and that helps soothe my throat. So those are my two herbs that I recommend for this lunation. Like I said in my last video, these full moons are, it's like the full moons and the new moons are backwards. Usually you say, oh, the new moon, and what are we gonna do new? And then you get to the full moon and it's your culmination. Well, we're getting the full moons before the new moons, because the new moon is coming at the very end of the sign for the next, I think it's a year and a half, 2 years, just because of timing and the way the zodiac is laid out right now. So we will have the full moon where things come up, and then when we get to the new moon, we decide, okay, what are we going to go do about it? So I will recommend some different herbs at the new moon to, in consequence of whatever we solved with the goldenrod and the grindelia during this full moon. I'm going to recommend for the crystals for this lunation, red or green jasper. Can help kind of ground us and soothe us, give us a little strength, whether you're battling allergies or battling the structures of the world, because there's a lot going on. It will give you some strength and some grounding. And so I'm recommending that. It's a stone that I often find near water, either in streams or by the ocean, so you kind of have some of that cooling water energy with jasper, and that is my recommendation for that. If you like these videos, I hope that you will click like, because it helps my algorithm, and subscribe, and that way you can see when they come out, because I don't always get them posted on social media. But if you have subscribed, you will always get a notification, and you'll be able to see these in a timely manner. They of course go to my Patreon followers first. My Patreon, I put the link below, but it's Dianaverse on patreon.com. And so if you want to see them right away, they're on there. I get them pretty quickly on social media, but sometimes if I'm really busy, it doesn't make it there. So support me either way. And I've got 2 more spots in my seaweed ID class. We're going to have a great seaweed foraging adventure of the Bountiful Sea on Sunday, June 4th, if you're in Western Washington. I'll post the Eventbrite link below, and there's still 2 spots there. You could still sign up if you wanted to. It'll be at the low tide in the morning, so if you can be at Whidbey Island in the morning early, feel free to check that out and get more information. And I think that's about all I have to say for this particular lunation, and I wish you all well, friends. Happy birthday to any Geminis who have birthdays coming up. I wish you a wonderful next turn around the sun. And if you want to see how this aspects you in your own chart, I would advise going to someplace like astro.com. They have free wheel charts of your particular birth chart. You will need your birth time and your place of birth in order to do that, but it shows you where things are hitting you in your own chart, which house it is, has a big influence, and you can see like what aspects the current planetary positions have with what you had when you were born. It's a snapshot kind of what you started with, so I would recommend doing that. All right. Take care, y'all. Have a great lunation.